Hello, and welcome to Fearfull Wickedness. I am your host, the storyteller. We hope you enjoy tonight's tale. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment.
Each year, the month of April comes with warm rains and soft winds. Flowers beginning to grow, trees becoming green, and this year a bush beneath Lacey's bedroom window began to bloom. Pale pink flowers burst from the tangled branches, glowing faintly in the moonlight. It hadn't bloomed last year. In fact, Lacey didn't remember the bush being there at all. She thought maybe the man her mother paid to mow the lawn last year had poisoned it so it wouldn't bloom. After all, it did have some very sharp thorns. Lacey was only 9, and her mother said she had an overactive imagination. Still, she stared at the bush every night, watching the way its blossoms unfurled like fingers stretching after a long sleep. One night, after a heavy rain, Lacey woke to a soft tapping at her window. Her room was on the second floor, so she knew it wasn't someone outside. She sat up in bed, heart fluttering. Another tap, delicate but deliberate. She crept to the window and peeked through the curtain. The bush had grown. Its twisted branches reached unnaturally high, pressing against the glass. A single pink bloom was open wide, facing her like a watchful eye. She slammed the curtain shut and ran to her mother's room. But of course, the next morning when Lacey and her mom went to check the bush, the branch Lacey had seen was a normal size. Over the next few nights, the tapping continued. Her mother blamed wind, squirrels, a figment of dreams. But Lacey knew. Each morning, the bush crept closer. Its roots curled around the base of the house. More flowers bloomed, wide and wet-looking, their centers dark. They no longer seemed pretty. They seemed odd. They seemed to pulse like they were breathing. Then came the whispering. Lacey lay awake and heard it, just beyond the window, soft voices, like children calling her name from inside the petals. Lacey, Lacey, come out and play. We are so lonely. Will you be our friend? Won't you come play with us? She told her mother, who sighed and tucked her in tighter. You and your imagination. What am I going to do with you? That night, Lacey tied her curtains closed and pushed her dresser in front of the window. Still, she heard the whispers for what seemed like hours, then silence. And in that silence, scratching. By morning, the dresser had shifted 2 inches. Claw marks raked across its back. Lacey's mother didn't have an explanation, but still didn't believe her until the next night. It was just after 4 a.m. when Lacey screamed. Her mother ran in and froze. The curtains fluttered open on their own. The window was broken. A long branch, thicker than a man's arm, was slithering into the room. At the end of it, a flower had bloomed, a wide, gaping thing with teeth where petals should be. They tried to run, but the house trembled. Branches tore through the floorboards. Petals slid across walls like bloodstains. They made it outside, barefoot in the wet grass, but the bush was no longer a bush. It was a thing, pulsing and massive, rising from the earth like a hungry animal. It shrieked in a voice made of wind and leaves, reaching skyward, dragging soil and stone with it. The house came crashing down as this thing drug itself toward Lacey and her mom. As they screamed in panic, Lacey noticed something. The roots. The bush was massive, but it was connected to the earth. Lacey remembered the man who would mow the lawn, telling her that he used vinegar to control insects and weeds. Lacey ran to the shed that stood behind where the house used to be and grabbed the 2 containers of vinegar. As the bush wrapped her mother in one of its branches, Lacey opened a container and poured it onto the roots of the creature. It let out a yell and dropped Lacey's mother as it turned and swiped at Lacey, knocking her back at least 15 feet. Lacey's mom jumped up, took the second container of vinegar, and emptied it on the bush's leaves and branches. The bush flailed back and forth as if it was gasping for air. Lacey's mom ran to her, picked her up, and moved her under the tree in the front yard. As the bush tried to drag itself toward Lacey, its leaves began to shrivel and turn brown. In a matter of minutes, the massive bush was no more. It had dried up and all but withered away. As the sun rose, the bush was gone. No roots, no flowers, just a patch of scorched earth. Eventually, Lacey and her mother found a new house, one without any flowers or plants in the yard. However, Lacey never spoke again. And every April, she and her mother return to that spot because something tries to bloom until they dig it up and burn it. But it always comes back.